Good morning to everyone. Thank you for attending. I'm particularly pleased to have with me at the table members of our new and strategic partnership that bodes extremely well for Bermuda and her struggling economy, particularly small business owners, and Bermuda College is pleased to play its part on this in the instructional front. To the members of the media, you have received your media kits containing a summary of today's conference, along with the names and titles of those participating, and some frequently asked questions about the program. Please feel free to ask any questions that we don't address or the frequently asked question list does not address after the conference. I will now turn the mic over to Mr. Philip Butterfield, who will talk about the program.
That's all right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Green. It's my pleasure to be here this morning to introduce this program called Streetwise MBA. Streetwise MBA is a program designed to improve the financial management skills of small business owners. And about 18 months ago, the Bank of Bermuda Foundation conducted some research to try and identify ways in which we could spark sort of a revival of the local economy. And one of the conclusions we came to was that it would be important to assist small businesses because they have the opportunity to employ Bermudians and also to help grow our economy. We conducted some research in the U.S. and came across this program, Streetwise MBA, which is a program designed by an organization called Entrepreneurial out of Boston, and you'll meet Laura a little later in this press conference. But Streetwise MBA is a program that has had tremendous success in the U.S. in helping small businesses grow their companies and to allow them to make a more meaningful contribution to the economies that they participate in. So we decided that in collaboration with the Bermuda College that we would pursue the implementation of this program. Our funding partners to date are the Bermuda Community Fund, which received initial funding from Atlantic Philanthropies, the Bank of Bermuda Foundation, and HSBC. And with that funding, this program runs around $20,000 per student. With the funding support from our initial partners, we are going to subsidize $19,000 of that $20,000 expense. And so we're asking for applicants who would be interested to invest $1,000 in this program, which Laura will talk about a little more specifically, and join us in helping to make small business owners more successful as they run their organizations. We have high expectations for this program. We're hoping to have an initial cohort of 12 to 15 participants, and it's a 9-month program, and certification will be achieved at the end of that period. And we have every reason to believe that the success this program has had in other locations will be replicated here in Bermuda. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Darren Bascom, who is a Bermudian entrepreneur who works and lives in Boston and has had history with Streetwise MBA and is a living example of what can be done through this program. Darren.
Thank you, Bill.
I'm sorry, Laura and then Darren? Sure. Okay. Yes, I do take instruction. So if you can pass that down to Laura. Thank you, Dr.
Good morning. I'm Laura Masulis, the Senior Partnerships Manager at Interrise. And Interrise is pleased to announce its first international partner here in Bermuda, building on our successful programs currently offered in over 40 cities across the U.S. In partnership with Interrise, Bermuda College joins an international network of world-class universities, business associations, and government agencies, all committed to local economic growth through small business development. Current partners offering the Streetwise MBA curriculum include New York University's Stern School of Business, Columbia University's Small Business Development Center, the Capital Region's Minority Supplier Development Council in Washington, D.C., and the University of Pittsburgh Institute of Entrepreneurial Excellence, among others. Over 2,500 small businesses have already completed our award-winning Streetwise MBA curriculum, and we're on track to add over 500 more graduates next year. At Interrise, we have seen that with the right management knowledge, business know-how, and access to new networks and markets, small business can become key agents of economic development in their local communities. In 2013 alone, our small business owners grew their annual revenues at an average of nearly 40%. At the same time, these small businesses created jobs at 5 times the rate of the private sector as a whole. We are honored that Bermuda College has chosen to bring the Interrise Streetwise MBA curriculum to the island, and we look forward to seeing the tangible impact it has on Bermuda's small businesses and the community as a whole. And with that, I will turn it over to Darren to talk about his experience taking the program.
Yeah, great stuff. Thank you, Laura. So for someone like me who grew up here and went to Boston, I was trained as a designer, and really had an experience of being able to work in both large agencies, smaller design studio environments, and probably the industry that I was able to cut my teeth on the most was working in museum design. I worked on projects like the Experience Music Project out in Seattle, the American Jazz Museum, the National Museum of Australia. And, the company was sort of having these murmurings of, possible layoffs. And, I asked if they would consider me. And 2 weeks later, I set up in my living room with, $8,000 I was able to negotiate and a free computer. And not much of a plan. Really, the plan was to try and do great work really hard, attract great clients. And, by 2008, I had really started to experiment with building teams, was having some real success, had a great portfolio under my belt, but was really interested in how do I begin to grow this, if I really wanted to move beyond being a mom and pop design shop. I really knew that I needed some new skills. And around that time, I was also exposed to an amazing case study out of the Harvard Business School. It's called Why Entrepreneurs Don't Scale. And what you quickly realize is that, entrepreneurs tend to be hyper-focused, tend to be visionary, tend to take risks and enroll others into that vision. And oftentimes to transform into being a great leader, additional skills are required. This idea of really being able to look at the big picture or solicit the advice of others and what have you. I had a good friend of mine who's a mentor and a big finance guy, and he says, Darren, here's the difference between entrepreneurs and almost everybody else. He said, everybody else looks before they leap. He said, entrepreneurs oftentimes leap and look for rope. And so it's, so this idea of being able to take a step back, spend a year or 9 months, focusing on your business and trying to figure out, what are some of the things that are really going to help you to grow. Growth isn't a strategy, it's an outcome. And so this idea of, getting incredibly tight financials, making sure that you have the right team around you, and what have you. I would say that, the other thing that really differentiated this program was just the quality of candidates that were part of my cohort, and so, I had an accomplished architect, I had someone who had been running, a signage company for the last 40 years. I had a bean-to-bar chocolate maker that's now found in places like Whole Foods, and others. And so, as much as the class instruction was helpful, this idea of being able to invite additional perspective, because that's really how you innovate, this idea of having new thinking applied to pre-existing problems. And so for us, at least, it's been invaluable. I would say that, inside the time when we first started out, we were a company of 3. We've quintupled in terms of our size. We also have, another 15 consultants that are a part of our team. In terms of our revenues, it's had a really significant impact as well. And I would say that we're actually beating the Interrise benchmark right now. So for us, it certainly has been very, very useful. Great.
I can't think of any better endorsement to the Streetwise MBA program than the testimony of Mr. Bascom's professional journey as he continues to do phenomenal work in and outside of Boston. And as you've heard, it is much of a success to the Streetwise MBA program. The Bermuda College is delighted to partner with Enterprise, the Bank of Bermuda Foundation, and other local sponsors because the premise of the program, personalized business case concept, fits perfectly well with our motto for the Division of Professional and Career Education, or PACE, which is to encourage students to prepare, advance, challenge, and excel in their professional careers. The Streetwise MBA program will begin in January 2015, and the target audience is small business owners, professional services, and those in the nonprofit sector. The length of the program is 7 months. Everybody else has said 9, but I'm thinking also 7 months, with 1 3-hour evening session every fortnight. That is 2 nights per month that we're asking persons to commit to. We'll require a minimum of 12 students to start the program and to run it up, each class to run optimally. The course will be localized, or has been localized, through the use of local instructors who have been trained in the United States by Enterprise. And there is also a CEO mentoring component involved in the program, and students will continue to have access to these experts and mentors after the program is finished. The college will launch a recruitment campaign over the next few weeks, including an information session on Tuesday, October the 28th at 6 p.m. And the structured selection process includes attendance at the information session, completion of the admissions application form, an interview by a panel, proof that the individual has been in business for at least 3 years, and the business must have at least 1 employee outside of or excluding the CEO or owner. We would encourage persons who are interested to contact Ms. Constance Smith in our PACE division here at the Bermuda College at 239-4120. Again, we're very excited about this initiative and wish the potential students much success as we help move Bermuda's workforce forward. Thank you. Any questions?
I'm just curious, we're in a consumer society where there's no manufacturing done here at all. After you taught this the art of business, it looks like that there's really nothing happening here in terms of getting people to do because of the economy. Does that make any into account?
Well, I think I would say that if the business sector and the foundations and the sponsors for this program are committing $19,000 of $20,000, I think that's a big incentive for people to come. $1,000 out of $20,000 is not.
No, I'm sorry, I'm not talking about training part of that. I'm talking about the business being there.
If I could, Dr. Green,
A lot of small businesses here.
well, I think it's an important macro question that you're asking, which is, what are the long-term prospects for the success of small business enterprises? And I think now is the time for us to prepare small businesses for what I think will be eventually a bounce back in our economy. We are certainly experiencing challenging times, but that's not always going to be the profile of Bermuda. I am confident that in the near future that we will be in a more vibrant economy. It may take 24 to 36 months, but the objective here is to arm these small businesses with the right skills so that when things get better, they are able to succeed. You plan today for success tomorrow. Don't wait for success to begin to plan.
If I could just if I could just build on your point.
Sure.
I read once that a recession is a terrible thing to waste. Which is a really kind of provocative thing to say, right? But it really is to say that like this, as Phil just mentioned. I mean, like this really is an opportunity for people to develop new skills, to look at how you can actually sort of retool or sort of innovate your company. I mean, if you look at platforms like Airbnb or Uber, they didn't exist before the Great Recession, and so this idea of being able to build something interesting. Certainly our company was essentially built inside of this really challenged environment, and it's only really been in the last 18 months that we feel like we've been experiencing some real lift.